So as you know, since iPhone 15, Apple has gone USB-C. Everything that Apple is putting out at this point is USB-C compatible. The iPhone 15 was USB-C. The new AirPod Pros are USB-C. They re-released headphone kits for the AirPods and the AirPods Pro now that they are USB-C, and they also have MagSafe wireless charging on the back. So basically, since everything is USB-C, I've noticed that there has been a sudden proliferation of wireless and GaN chargers specifically for Apple products. This right here was recently sent to me, and this is the ELECSHION 65-watt power delivery and 3.0 gallium nitride quick charger. So what's special about this model specifically is that this model is kind of designed with tourists in mind. So the box is very, very simple. It comes with these instructions right here. It's a very, very small and simple box. This is how you get it when it comes in your delivery. And the gimmick this time around is that it has a retracting USB-C cable. But in addition to that USB-C cable, it also has USB-C in a secondary port. And just in case you happen to have a USB-A product or whatever it might be, they include one USB-A port. So they have a USB-C, USB-C, USB-A. The total amount of energy output is 65 watts. Now, I can verify that because I have voltmeters, and I have voltmeters built right into the cables. So I have a USB-C cable right here with a voltmeter. I have a USB-A cable right here with a voltmeter built into it. So I will say this. I was very disappointed this year. I truly believed that I was going to be getting the Apple iPhone 16. Unfortunately, Apple did not give us 2 terabytes of storage, so I figured there was no point in me upgrading considering I already have a 1 terabyte iPhone 14. I've also heard some reports that says that the iPhone 14 actually in some ways takes better photos than the iPhone 16. But that's neither here nor there. My issue was I wanted more storage. So I didn't end up buying the iPhone 16, and I am still using lightning cables in order to charge my phone. So let's say that was an issue. Let's say that you were someplace and you have no choice but to use a lightning cable. Well, in that case, chances are you would either use a USB-C to lightning, or in this case, you'd use a cable just like this one. And you'd plug that in USB-A to lightning. And even, it's funny, this cable has a story. I was in Bali, and I was in a guy's car who was driving me and my girlfriend, and we were going around. We were going to different sites. And he was a private driver. We had hired him. I think we were paying him $100 a day or something like that, which is a lot of money there. And I was in a small town area near, I believe it was called Toya Devasya, and that was actually like a hot spring area. And I didn't have an iPhone cable that could plug into his car. So what ended up happening was I needed to get an iPhone cable. So I saw this young girl who was working in what their equivalent of a 7-Eleven is. And I asked her, I said, hey, how much did you pay for your cable? And she told me it cost her like it was basically like, it cost her the equivalent of like $3. I can't even remember what the denomination was at this point. It cost her the equivalent of $3. So I pull out 100,000 something, what was it, 100,000 rupee bill. And I was like, listen, I'll double your money right now. Give me that cable and I'll pay you twice as much as you paid for it. So long story short, obviously she submitted, and she's like, oh, okay, cool, no problem, because, I got cash money. What are you going to do? And I really needed that cable because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to charge my phone for the next couple of hours. I would have had to wait. So long story short, you never want to be in a situation where you don't have adequate cables. And I'll say this before I continue. Anchor, for example, has been selling these charging stations, and they're charging $170 for these charging stations. But the more and more I think about it, you're really better off with individual charge bricks, just like this one. This is a GaN charge brick right here. And as you can see, it has this flip out type 1 prong. And I also typically carry this USB-C 100-watt charger, and this one also has this flip-out prong. So if I'm on the airplane, like I showed in my video when I was on business class, Japan Airlines, ANA Airlines, they had, of course, they have a type 1 plug, but they also have a USB-A plug. The problem is the USB-A plug is too slow. It was only outputting at about 5 watts. Now, some of these airlines now have USB-C outputs, but the problem with them is that they also are slow. They usually don't output much higher than about 10 to 15 watts tops. And that's going to slow charge whatever you plug to it. It's certainly not enough to run a gaming laptop, and it's certainly going to take you a very long time to charge, say, a MacBook or something. So it's important for you to always have adequate charging devices. So when I see them selling these individual charging stations, something in me says, you know what? It makes more sense for me to just have multiple blocks and multiple wires. I can ensure that every single one of my devices is charged appropriately, for one. And second of all, if I'm in a hotel room, I don't want to have my phone stuck charging next to my laptop on a desk far away from my bed. I want to have my phone and my Apple Watch next to my bed while the laptop and everything else is over on a desk somewhere. So I really don't want to charge all my devices in the exact same place. So having these GaN chargers, these gallium nitride chargers, these things are very, very good because for the most part, most of your smartphones are not going to use them to their maximum potential. Your laptops absolutely will try to push them to the maximum potential, which is why instead of this one, I would probably use this one if I had to charge, say, a gaming laptop and I had to power it while using it. But a 65-watt charger is more than enough for iPhone 16. It's more than enough for pretty much any of these Samsung phones, unless you're trying to purposefully burn them out. And it's more than enough for pretty much any of your devices. Like, for example, I have the Apple Watch Ultra 2. The Apple Watch Ultra 2 takes about 45 minutes to an hour to charge to full, even when you're using a fast charger, because they usually limit the wireless charging to about 15 watts or maybe even 20 watts. So even if you have a 65-watt charger, it really doesn't matter because the chips that are inside these things limit them anyway to 15 to 20 watts. 20 watts usually being about the max. There's no real need to fast charge a watch for the most part. So this is this charger, and for reference, like I just have a power outlet right here. It's a little bit old, but it was what was available. So when you plug that in, let me plug in the other end of this, and then I'll show you. Okay, I plugged in the other end, and what you see is this has its own built-in voltmeter. So I'm trying to zoom in on that, but yes, there is a built-in voltmeter. So this also has a retractable plug. So they warn you about letting it slap back on itself. So when you retract it, they want you to hold one end and then they want you to hold the other end. And they want you to let it slide in gently because the only issue with a retracting cable could be easy to damage and you don't want to do that. So what I have here is this pair of Kotek headphones. And I also have this battery pack right here. And I also have what I just did a review on. This is the CarPod Go, Apple CarPlay monitor that you can put in your car. So I can charge if I wanted to, I could plug all three of them in simultaneously. But for reference, what I'll do is I'll just plug in these headphones to the retractable USB cable. So that's this thing's main gimmick. When you pull it, you can hear it clicking. And when you pull it all the way out and you let it whip back, it retracts just like any spring-loaded retracting device would. So when you plug this in, when you plug it in, you automatically get reports from the, let me put it right. You get reports from the voltmeter that's built in to the actual charger. So as you can see, it's 0, 2 watts. Okay, so this is USB-C charging at about 2 watts, which is pretty much what you expect. You don't expect to really be going very high on small devices like this because they have very small batteries. They may or may not be able to accept more power. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to test the built-in USB-C port using my voltmeter cable. So you can charge 3 devices simultaneously. If you were a traveler and you were doing this overnight, there's no real need for fast charging. So if you were doing this overnight, is this the side with the voltmeter? No, it's not. This is the side that has the voltmeter right there. Yeah, so you could charge your Apple Watch, your AirPods, and your iPhone at the same time. I love GaN chargers. I really do. This Kotek is old. I've had it for years, and it still works perfectly. 100 watts for 2 ports works perfectly. Okay. So now it says 2 there, and right here it says 1 here, but it says 2 there. So the main voltmeter is reading 2, but this one's reading 1. So there may be a little bit of a discrepancy based on how it actually measures. The thing about it is these headphones, they charge relatively quickly. So this is just one possible device that could be used to test. I could also disconnect that, and I could use the USB-A because I want to charge an older device. It's always good to have both USB-C and USB-A. And because one of my headphone pairs uses USB micro B, I always carry like lots of I carry a lot of cables, you know. So right here, I've got this battery pack. Plug that in. As you can see, I have a USB micro B cable right there. And I can plug in this battery pack. We'll see what it reads. Okay, let's see. All right, so the voltmeter here says 14 watts power delivery. The voltmeter here also says 14 watts power delivery. So right now it's pumping power because obviously this is a battery and you have to, it takes more power to charge something like this. Besides, this is an older battery anyway, so this is delivering about 14 watts. From what I read in the directions, the USB-A port is basically capable of 15 watts. Now, the total power delivery is supposed to be about 65 watts. So what they actually said here, what did they say? Let me see if I can show it to you. Okay, so they say the USB C1, and C1 is the retractable cable. They say USB C1 output is by itself 65 watts. When you plug in multiple devices, the power output drops. It says USB C2 output. It says 5 volts by 3 amps. If you multiply 5 times 3, you get 15. So that's 15 watts. It doesn't actually specifically say 15 watts, but it do see 20 volts divided by 3.2 amps. But it is saying that, again, the total output of this charger is 65 watts. For USB-A, I see it says 5 volts divided by 3 amps, 9 volts divided by 2 amps, 12 volts / 3 amps. But it says Again, maximum is 60 watts. So it says that if you have USB-C 1 plus USB-C 2, that's 45 watts from C1 plus C2 is 20. So that adds up to 65. Then they're also saying that USB-C 1 plus USB-A, if you use the USB-A, it says it can go up to about 18 watts. And 18 plus 45 is giving you 56. So the bottom line is, no matter how you plug these things in, the total is going to be, I believe it's 65, if I'm not mistaken. 65 watts, that's the total. Then they say USB-C 2 plus USB-A, 5 volts divided by 3 amps. And then they say USB-C 1 plus USB-C 2 plus USB-A. So if you use all the ports, it says 45 plus 15. Total output is 65 watts. So basically, that's the long and short of it. And right now, the wattage has dropped down to about 11. So I could get a confirmation for that. Right here, it says about 10. So the voltmeter on the device is about 1 watt higher. And that could be caused by just about anything. But the bottom line is, with this Mophie power station, I've always charged this thing over long periods of time. I've usually charged it while I'm asleep. So it really doesn't matter to me. It's just that I like the fact that this has a built-in hidden voltmeter right inside there. And that's a very nice thing to have on your devices. So this way you have an idea of how much power you're pumping at any given time. So that's a good thing. So the only other thing I might use this on is the CarPod Go. So I'm going to just deactivate these, and I will use the retractable cable. And I like the idea of a retracting cable. So for example, the way I would make use of this plug right here, I would get the charging station for the Apple Watch, the AirPod Pro, and the iPhone that is like a stand. And what I would do is I would set that up on my nightstand when I go overseas. And then I would plug this into the wall, or I would plug this into a surge protector. And then I would just retract this cable. And I would use this cable alone, one single 65 watt USB-C cable. And that would feed all 3 devices simultaneously. So I'd cut down on a lot of clutter. Now, of course, I'd still carry a lot of my other wires with me just in case. But yeah, it would definitely help cut down on the clutter. Okay, so the devices are out. And all I gotta do is plug this in. I may lose sound for a second. There you go. That's CarPod Go. So I already made a review about this device. This allows you to have Android on your car if you have an old car. As you can see, the voltmeter that's built in shows 3 watts, so that's about how much it takes to run this display. This display is specifically designed for 12-volt cigarette lighter adapter that outputs to USB-C in your car. Of course, there are other ways to plug it in. There are other ways to keep it activated. So long story short, this is a great device. It has a nice little gimmick, as in it has this retractable cable that helps make it neat. I was at Costco and I was looking at charging stations that are MagSafe, which allow you to charge your iPhone, your AirPods, and your Apple Watch simultaneously. $20, $30, whatever it is. It is very convenient for a traveler along with one of these GaN chargers, simply because you have a solid 65 watts of power incoming and you can simultaneously charge all of your devices while you sleep. Naturally, I would keep another long cable so that you can use your iPhone at any given time when you feel like using it while the other devices are still charging. I'm at Costco, and I noticed that they have a couple of these charging products for cell phones. Like, obviously, they're selling a lot of this Anchor stuff. Like, they have these GaN chargers, and these are decent. Like, you know, as long as you're not really trying to charge a gaming laptop, these are fine. They only want like $30 for these, so they got 67 watts plus 30. Then they got the MagGo magnetic power banks that plug right onto the back of your phone. I don't like magnetic charging unless I have an option, because magnetic charging, the induction causes a lot of heat buildup, so the phone's always hot. I don't really like charging wirelessly. I prefer the wire. So what else? They have this 3-in-1 for $80. I think that's too much for a charging station. But as you can see, it charges Apple Watch. It also charges your AirPods, and it charges the iPhone 12 and up. This is cool, but there's no way I would pay you $80 for this. No way. And I see it works on USB-C and it comes with a little Anker charger right there. Now, what I like, if you're going traveling, I like the idea of having a charging station like this. I think that's too much to pay for it. But I like the idea of having a charging station, because this way, overnight, while you're sleeping, you just plug in one device to one USB-C port, and it charges all your devices. But Anker has a new one of these by MagGo. That's part of, their MagGo product labeling. But this is actually something I'm interested in, and I'm going to probably get it for free from one of my sponsors. And this uses a single USB port to charge all three of your devices. Now, as you know, I don't have AirPods Pro yet, because I'm going to wait for the AirPod Pro 3s. I'll buy those. This has the iPhone charger on one side. It's got the Apple AirPod charger, and then it's also got the charger for your Apple Watch. And I have an Apple Watch Ultra 2. So this is $40. Now, that is way more like it. I like that. If I was traveling, I'd buy just one of those. I'd bring my 100-watt GaN charger with me from Kotek, and I'd plug in just one USB-C port, and overnight I charge all three of my devices. And I like that. I like that right there. And the price for $40, that's not bad at all. Now, granted, that's probably about $20 more than it actually cost them, and they're probably making a profit of about 100%, but hey, whatever. $40 is where that, and that should all be. So I see that one's $40 over there, that one's $40, but this one's $80. That's too much. But I like that. I like this product. That's pretty cool. I like that.